first few seconds because there wasn't anybody waiting. As usual, YouTube does not uh, promote my type of content, as always. And of course, I don't have necessarily enough followers so far. There's one. We have one. I'm not going to introduce him yet. He's just a mystery guest for right now until we get some people in here. We need to have more than one. Who are you? I can't tell. So tonight's going to be an open forum for those of you that are watching this recorded later. And this is going to be more of an open forum tonight. We're going to do a Q&A. But we have something that this young man and I have been working on together. Get a little bit closer so they can see your face. Ah, how you doing, Ninny? So tonight we're going to be doing something a bit different. We're going to be doing an open forum Q&A for anybody who comes in a little bit later. Answer some questions. I'm not doing bad. Answer some questions or whatever. But we have some exciting news that we want to bring up today. We've been kind of throwing this idea around for a few weeks, and I came up with the idea, but I know I can't do it alone. I mean, I could, but it would be lame. But so we have this young man here. We're gonna do something a bit different, certainly off of what you normally see me do in my content. Typically speaking, I am talking about herbal medicine and natural healing, that type of stuff. But now this is going to be something way different, and it should appeal to a lot of people, man, woman, young, old. Um, so hopefully you guys will be excited about it. We don't have any, I mean, it's not that it's like perfectly solid, but we know how we want to start. You know, we're going to start kind of at the ground floor, and then we're going to work our way up with it and build it. Thankfully, we won't have to worry about all the information suppression because we're just going to be talking about something very simple. And once we get, if I can get 10 people, I mean, there's five of you sticking around. If you guys can just be patient for just a few minutes for to get a few people in here, we're going to talk about the news. If you're watching this recorded, there's only five people here so far, but I'm only 2 minutes into it. So, and I'm sure so many people are celebrating that YouTube is, or that TikTok has been temporarily unbanned for whatever reason. TikTok was, well, not only that, I mean, okay, so the question was TikTok was practically synonymous with COVID, and but it wasn't that. Their excuse was that TikTok was sharing information with a foreign. Ha ha ha! You're so funny. Anyway, so they were worried about them selling the information, but they all actually sell your information. So I mean, like all those I have a lot of followers over on TikTok, but I mean, and though I appreciate the ones that actually get to see my videos, most of the people who watch my videos or who follow me don't necessarily get to see my content just because of the type of content that I promote over there. I do natural healing, but so so when it went, it's like okay, whatever. I mean, he's not. He's just trying to be quiet. We wanted to wait until we had enough people in here, and and he's not really used to being on camera, I don't think. So this young man is Wyatt. He's actually a friend of my son's, but over time, we became friends, and we've decided to start a new cooking channel because I'm from Gen X, and he's from Gen Z. We have a little bit different perspective on everything. So we decided to start a cooking channel, but it's going to be a cooking channel for single people. And I've seen a lot of cooking channels they have over on YouTube, and I've seen like TikTok stuff, and most of those meals they show people how to make are for like families. And there's a lot of people that are single, and they're like, God, I don't want to make that much food. I'm just one person. So um, I cook for myself all the time, and it's really simple. I cook a lot of really good meals. So we're gonna start putting together some we're gonna start putting together some cooking videos. You want to be an ass, dude? You can go be an ass somewhere else. To be fair.
Yeah, and he knows a lot of different recipes, but I don't. So I just mostly eat ramen and mac and cheese. So learning how to actually like eat good food and take care of myself is a lot better. You know.
Yeah, there's that too. We're not going to use any like box food. Everything's going to be from scratch. So, I mean, everything that I cook, whatever he cooks, it's just going to be okay. Well, then go somewhere else, dude. I don't care. It's not going to hurt my feelings. And if you didn't care, why are you here? Go somewhere else. You got to say something though.
Well, I don't know. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of want to learn how to make my own steaks and different ways to do stuff like that, and you know kind of look into how all the ingredients interact with each other, and why, and different ways that you can process every part of your meal without throwing anything away. You know,
So, what do you want to say that's interesting? What would you like to know?
um,
And if it really was that big of a deal, dude, why are you still here? You don't want to listen to the trolls, dude. For real.
yeah,
I'm kind, but I'm not always nice.
I don't know what kind of stuff do you think a single person can make by himself, on a budget.
Make anything. I make it all, man. I like to eat lots of food, so whatever I cook is what I cook. But I cook a lot of different stuff: chilies and stews and steaks and casseroles, whatever I feel like I'm in the mood for. But it's really simple. I mean, it's not very hard.
Well, I know about someone that's like really on a budget and can't really even afford to you know restock the fridge a lot.
Food is expensive, right? So it's going to be cheap and easy meals, but they're going to be good meals and nothing out of the box. So you don't get enough of that. And I know you say you can just have the ingredients, but in some cases, you got to consider some of the younger generation can't. Well, how you doing, Ben? Hey, so these guys here, you have Teresa and you have Ben. Both of them are patrons.
Oh, okay.
So they've been patrons for a long time. So we just talked about this is Wyatt. He's a friend of my son's, but we've become friends over the years. And him and I are going to start a new cooking channel. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. It's too bad you're back. Anyway, so when it comes to the workshop that's coming up, it's going to be in February. This doesn't have anything to do with the cooking channel. With the herbal medicine workshop that's coming up in February, it's looking like, at least as far as the voting goes so far, it's looking like it's probably going to be on Tuesday nights at 7. So unfortunately, Wyatt won't come. Why? Well, then go somewhere else, dude. Why are you still here? I know you're a troll and you just want the reaction. His name is Wyatt.
Like Wyatt or
Yeah, like Wyatt. Or you don't get enough attention, dude. That's really sad. Anyway, so so in the workshop, we're gonna cover some of you guys, especially some of you patrons who've been following for a minute. I'm gonna cover some of the basics. So we're gonna cover the history of. All right, dude. Bye. So, so we're gonna start with the bare basics. So we're gonna do some of the history. We're gonna cover how herbal medicine has kind of evolved because right around the early 1900s is when it kind of evolved from using herbs and plants and minerals and animal sources of medication. It evolved to the pharmaceutical brand. And that was a lot of that was, no, I just went ahead and made him go away. So you want to be a dork, you can be a dork somewhere else. So clearly his mom never taught him anything when he was growing up. So anyway, So we're gonna go there, and then we're gonna kind of cover. I kind of want to what I want to do with this course is you really have to start changing your mindset when it comes to natural healing and herbal medicine because, and I'm not going to get into too much detail. I mean, I can a little bit of detail, but I don't really want to give away the entire thing. But you got to kind of stop thinking of it as like just home remedies or folksy type stuff. Hey, how are you? When it comes to this, it has an actual science name. There's an actual scientific name for it. It's called phytotherapy, which just means translates out to plant-based therapy. And once we start to change the way our mindset is on it, a lot of people will kind of poo-poo it. When Wyatt first met me, um, he heard probably. I mean, he heard a lot about herbs and herbal medicine from my son. Um, I found out later that my son listened to pretty much everything I said and repeated it often to his friends. So was that pretty accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah. It turned out my son turned out to be quite a really good little herbalist. After listening, he'd get sick and he'd just treat himself out of my apothecary. So oftentimes we didn't even know he was sick because he had already taken care of it. So
I think that'll be a good thing to, discover is, go
no,
back
Teresa's not
and,
being mean to me. Teresa's being mean to this little dork that was on here. Clearly doesn't get enough attention from his mother. So she was telling me to ignore him. I did one better. I just made him go away. So he doesn't get enough attention from his mother, so he feels like he has to troll on YouTube. So yeah, wasn't that big a deal. And I keep telling people that I'm kind, but I'm not always nice. As he knows, that I'm kind. I'd be willing to bend over backwards to help him, but I'm not always nice about it when I do it. So is that
yeah.
is that pretty
Well,
accurate?
yeah, every time that I needed my tire changed or
I was never
that.
mean about that, but I did show him how to do it, right? Rather
Yeah.
than just do it for him, I did, show him how to do it. But so yeah, so we're gonna continue with that, and then I'm gonna come up with a little simple project at the end of the very first section. There's gonna be um, yeah, she wasn't being mean. She just said ignore him. She was right. I didn't want to ignore him though, but catch me in the wrong mood, and I can actually be quite mean. I try really not to be that guy, but every now and then. But I'm really nice about being mean. Like I did a video once where some guy told me I needed to do better, and and at that point, I think I was doing like 20 hours a week doing those videos, and I wasn't making any money on it. I'm like, do better than what? And yeah, after I was done, there was a few people that said, "Wow, man, that was like the most polite F you I've ever seen." So yeah, at least I'm kind of nice about it. It depends on the day. So the second part of the coursework, we're going to be talking about um, herbal blends versus single-use herbs because there is a difference between herbal blends and single-use herbs. And we can answer some of that tonight, but I mean, I have a complete section. That'll be section two. Section three will be covering the 3Ds of health, but it'll just be real basic, be real short, and then how you can use herbs and apply herbs in the 3Ds. But each one of the sections, we're going to have a little project that you're going to have to do, or at least available for you to try. And this will give you a little bit more of a hands-on approach. And the whole point of the coursework itself is specifically to give you an easier time. You look so grumpy, dude.
Me?
Yeah, you're just sitting there looking all grumpy.
Just listening to you.
Um, how you can apply herbal medicine to your daily life? It's not really complicated, and some of you guys that have been following for a while, you know that I make it. At least you say that I make it really easy. So the whole point of doing it is to keep it as simple as possible. Um, I'm trying to get Wyatt to be a co-host on the podcast, but I don't know that our days will work. We'll be spending a lot of time doing like the cooking stuff,
Yeah.
and but so I don't know how because I still have to be able to do all my other stuff. Um, just started my eBay store, so where science meets nature over on eBay. So anybody that's, I'm gonna start getting more. I don't really have very many products there yet. It's the reason why it's very tedious to post stuff up on eBay, and right now I just don't have time to create a website, nor do I have the money to spend on having somebody else do it for me. So I do try to keep it simple, Teresa. Teresa says she likes my style of teaching. I try to keep it as simple and basic as possible because it really isn't complicated. I mean, a lot of people do make it pretty complicated, but
Yeah,
but doing that kind of stuff is really pretty freaking simple.
yeah. I mean, is there
I knew what you meant.
any kind of like supplements or things that people would use daily in that?
I try to avoid daily use. The whole point of what I try to teach is it's really it's a terrible business model. If I'm trying to do this as a business, the way I teach my stuff is probably one of the worst business models in the world because unlike pharmaceutical companies, I actually try to teach my clients and my people that follow and stuff how to not ever have to use herbs. So
Mm-hmm.
no daily supplements needed, no nothing, because your body's doing what it's supposed to do naturally. Like that quote that I showed you earlier,
Yeah,
right? And um, I mean, and for the most part, you really wouldn't want to take in most herbs every day anyway. Why?
there you
Because
go.
over time, if you're trying to do it to boost a function, um, if you try to take a daily herb or a specific herb to use to take care of a daily function, ultimately, like if you're taking echinacea every day, it's a bad idea because
Mm-hmm.
echinacea actually boosts your immune function. Okay, so the chemicals that are inherent in echinacea will boost your immune response. Well, if you take echinacea every single day, eventually your immune system is going to go, huh, I don't have to work so hard
Yeah,
because I have this stuff. And then when you stop taking the echinacea, um, your immune system kind of stops too
yeah,
because it's been so used to having that supplement every day.
yeah. Like you, at some point, you still have to detox from it.
Right.
Um,
So
well, I
that,
mean, we'll be doing a cooking channel and putting the recipes on that. The comment.
all right.
Um, so using different herbs and spices, we can show how you can make it yourself. Your own cinnamon, your own you know garlic, and um,
For our cooking channel, we're going to be doing recipes at the end. For the herbal stuff, from a logical standpoint, it makes more sense for me to to give recipes like that away. If you think about it, those are specific blends, right? And a lot of times they're put together with the years of experience that I have in this, right? It's not like I'm just going, I'll distill these all together. I kind of I have to put a lot of research and everything into making one of those blends. So to do free blends every single video doesn't make a lot of practical sense to me. It makes more sense to post it over on like Patreon and things like that. People actually pay me. Yeah, because it's information that you'd pay thousands of dollars to get that information as far as like if you wanted to get the education to do it. And for me to just give it away for free every single day, it doesn't make a whole lot of logical or business sense, to be fair. I know, but I have to be somewhat practical about it. And realistically speaking, people who get things for free all the time, like I don't see a lot of comments from you, like on TikTok, right? On my videos, if I go through, I don't really see any comments from you, and that's the kind of stuff that helps to promote it, right? Leave a comment, good video, bad video, this sucked, whatever comment it is. Um, and that's the kind of stuff that helps creators, right? Comments, engagement, shares, likes, favorites, things like that. So, in order to promote our channels, that would be your currency. And for me to continue to give you something for free and then you can't do your part of the currency. I'm not saying you don't because you're a patron, but I'm just saying that still is something that helps the algorithm. It helps me out. And if I'm doing this to help you out and you can't do that to help me out, that doesn't make any sense either because that's just a one-way relationship. You're just taking and you're not giving anything in return. So, you know, I totally get it, man. I don't leave a lot of comments either. I totally get it. And I'm not saying you in particular. I'm saying you as like whoever's watching. You know, I do the same thing. I have to force myself sometimes to like slow down and which is why I don't watch videos now anymore. I don't watch a lot of videos. I don't have time
Yeah,
because if I have to watch the video, I have to watch the whole thing out of courtesy to whoever I'm watching, and then I have to leave a comment and then I have to share it. And, as a courtesy, I mean, and don't get me wrong, a lot of the people that I'm doing that for don't do it in return because they don't have time either. We're all very busy. So, this is an unfortunate life we live now. It, But for me, for my platform, you guys see how many followers I have. I have almost a 250,000 followers over there, and they still suppress my content. So, and it's not because of I wouldn't have that many followers if they didn't want to see the content. And I see so many times, oh wow, I haven't seen you in forever. It's like, yeah, because you haven't come search for me, because they're not going to share me, And Ben's one of those ones who leaves a comment almost every time.
yeah,
He's been, and I don't know how long it's going to be that they're going to be back, and anymore I don't stress that kind of stuff. To be fair, Instagram has been giving me a lot more exposure. Facebook still no, so I don't even bother with them. I know they're owned by the same company, but they don't give me the same. They don't give me the same type of exposure. But as of late, more of my followers have been engaging. They engage too. They vote in the polls. They leave comments. They share it. They do all that stuff that helps the algorithm, which is probably why Instagram is doing better too. I've noticed that most of my TikTok followers they'll give it a like, but they don't even leave a comment, not even a thumbs up, any type of comment. If you have half a second to text somebody, you have half a second to leave a comment. If you have a half a second to watch the video, while you're watching the video, you can leave a comment. You're watching the video, or you're already there for crying out loud. So I mean, there's that too.
yeah,
That's why it can be frustrating as a creator.
yeah. I mean, watching the video all the way through, just gives it a lot more algorithm boot.
It does,
You know,
and I just put my phone down and walk away if it's like, um, if even if it's something I don't necessarily want to see. Yeah, Ben's been following me for years, and he still has to look me up. Like when I would go live on TikTok, they wouldn't notify anybody. YouTube didn't notify anybody I was going live either, even though I had it scheduled for going live. I bet it didn't notify any of you people that I was going live. So, you know. But I have a feeling that with the current changes in the administration that they're gonna have, it'll do well to benefit my type of content because they're gonna start pushing more of a natural approach, and they're gonna start deregulating a lot of the crap that the FDA has been trying to do. So it'll make it a lot easier for my type of content to be able to be shared out there. Um, and I've noticed like it's kind of happened with Instagram a bit, but X is one of the worst, man. And as far as like promoting my type of content, because um, I have over 600 followers, and I'll post something and one person will see it. It's like, come on.
what kind of content you plan on doing soon?
I'm gonna keep up with the Kitchen Combat series.
Okay.
So it's taken off. It's something that people recognize and resonate with. And in between those, I do other herb videos. So that way, the people that are catching on for the
Yeah.
spices can see that there's actual plants and other things that do the same thing too. So, you know,
Well, and I think that like while we're doing the
I don't have
cooking
time.
channel,
I don't have time to do another app. I just don't. It's bad enough trying to keep up with the four I'm on, five if you count Patreon. There's just no way. There's just not enough time in the day for that. Not if you guys ever want that book. It's bad enough that these videos take up so much of my time to get to get nothing out of them. I don't really get any money out of them. So, you know, yeah, I get more money out of Patreon. It makes more sense to spend more time over on Patreon than it does here, given all this free information. How you doing, Gabby?
but I was gonna say when we do the cooking channel, as we go
Speak
over
up.
different, when we do the cooking channel, as we come across different, spices and ways to make your own homegrown food, we can talk about different ways to process everything, and you could even talk about the other spices or herbs that you've used medicinally. so it might you can use it in other ways other than just food.
I have a feeling that a lot of my followers here, or at least some of them, will come over to watch that channel. So, you know, I mean, it wouldn't be bad to throw that in there, but I don't really want to do a lot of like medicinal stuff because anytime we start mentioning that stuff in the video, that's going to hit on the algorithm.
Yeah,
So we
that's
can't,
fair.
yeah, we can't do, remedies or it's got to be strictly cooking. As much as I'd like to like involve it in there, yeah, maybe like with the homemade chicken noodle soup, I'd plan on doing that one. Maybe with the homemade chicken noodle soup, I'll point out the herbs that are in it. Can help maybe fight off a cold or a flu, but I won't I won't do my usual stuff with that.
No, and that's fair. But adding those little extra, notes.
Tidbits.
Yeah,
What do you guys think? Should we throw those little tidbits in there if we do that? If we decide, when we start doing this cooking video, should we throw the tidbits on what the herbs are good for? Just tiny. Trust me, I'm not going in any dissertation about it at all. I do enough of that on my channel. I like to make this one more fun, a little bit more free flowing. So yeah, and Wyatt already does this kind of stuff. He's working on some movie stuff. He works with a movie production crew. He has access to some better equipment. So no, but not all the time. So you know, it's almost like it froze up. No comments.
right.
They just dried up. I mean, we don't. I just see people keep floating out. I just figured you guys got bored and left. My internet's fine, so it's not me. 'Cause I got to thinking, if we don't have too many people, there isn't any real reason to stay alive any longer. Then I can go make a cookie or a cake or something. Snickerdoodle sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. YouTube has also stated that they like to suppress our type of content. They don't necessarily promote what we do, the natural healing. They've said that they won't promote
Really.
it. Yeah.
Mm.
So and when they gave me just recently, they gave me the creator survey. So I told them, I said, I have over 4,000 subscribers, and you only show the video to 50 people. So
Right.
and then you get things like this, people that are live that you see when it drops. Oftentimes, it's not the people leaving, unless I hurt their feelings. Um, it's that YouTube will just stop the live for a minute.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
kind of lost stuff out of it.
right. So, but people will watch it later. Some people get bored. It just depends. I didn't have any real topics tonight, and apparently nobody had any real questions tonight.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well, what do you think are like some like real easy, you know, 2 or 3 ingredient meals that you know?
2 or 3 ingredients, none that I know of. Nothing I can make with just a couple of
I
ingredients.
guess that's fair.
Scrambled eggs, I guess.
Yeah.
Milk and eggs, some pepper and salt. But if you want a meal, it's gonna take more than just 2 or 3 ingredients.
Yeah. I understand, but you get what I'm getting at. Something real like for people on a like real tight budget.
Well, spit it out. Any? What's your question? She has a question. We have a question. Probably won't stay alive too much longer. Might go back to TikTok. Might go back to doing TikTok lives. I get more people on TikTok lives.
Yeah.
Well, it can help heal an autoimmune hepatitis. So it's a liver autoimmune. Michael has that. I can't recommend anything, as you know. So I can't. Yeah, I'm gonna take the word heal out of there. Nothing that I know of can heal anything, according to the FDA. Um, so you've already seen videos on my liver detox, and you already know my number one liver herb. So the question is, what can help heal an autoimmune hepatitis, which would be a hepatitis that's specifically it's an autoimmune. Um, can't suggest anything either. I'm going to just talk about some medicinal properties of some herbs that you can research yourself to come up with your own answer. That's how we answer our questions, and we avoid trouble. So I don't give suggestions, recommendations. I'm not a diagnostician, and this statement has not been approved by the FDA. So, so milk thistle seed extract. It has to be an extract, and it has to be an alcohol-based extract. Um, Scientifically, if somebody were to use that for their liver, if you just try to eat milk thistle seed, if you just try to take it in your smoothie, if you just try to ingest it, make it into a capsule, it's not going to be as effective. The silymarin will not be removed from the milk thistle seed, which is the part you need for your liver. So if you're not, and I know it sounds counterintuitive to use an alcohol-based tincture for the liver, but you're not using enough to damage the liver. Common sense, right? You're using smaller amounts. Then you have kudzu root, Kudzu. I've already mentioned this. You already have this written down somewhere. I guarantee it. Um, also, but you can't just use a single herb. And of course, I'm not recommending anything, but the silymarin only helps the liver in like one or two ways, right? And if it's a liver like that, and especially if it's an autoimmune, you have to avoid using anything that's going to boost immune function, right? I'm not telling you to avoid anything, but if you boost your immune function, it's an autoimmune disease. Your immune system works just fine, clearly. It's working so fine that it's trying to kill the liver, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Autoimmune means your immune system is overreacting. Okay, so you need to modulate your immune response. So you get something like a dandelion. This is an immunomodulator, not a real powerful one. It's mildly immunomodulating, but it's more of a detox herb, right? It's going to help address the hepatitis. And typically speaking, hepatitis is caused by a virus. So um, that's what it is, in fact, the hepatitis virus. So the milk thistle is antiviral in and of itself. Kudzu is antiviral, not as much as the milk thistle is. Um, Dandelion has, as if you watch my dandelion video, dandelion leaf in and of itself has the ability to stop a viral spike protein from attaching to ACE2 receptors in human cells. So this can help prevent the virus from binding to the cell at all. Then you want to focus on something that's going to be viral related, but still address the autoimmune issue, right? Because that's two complicated issues. You've got something wrong with the virus that's causing the issue with the autoimmune system or the immune system. But so you have to kind of address both. So something like an olive leaf, right? Olive leaf is a very potent auto or an immunomodulator. It's not an immune booster. It does not boost immune function. It modulates your immune response to respond properly to whatever pathogen is causing the problem. Okay. But it's also a powerful antiviral in and of itself. It affects viruses on three separate stages of a life cycle. It weakens the shell of a virus. So you ever seen a virus? It looks like a water mine.
Yeah.
It weakens the shell, and then it prevents the virus from attaching to a host, and it prevents the virus from replicating itself.
Mm.
So it has three separate impacts on the virus while simultaneously addressing the issue with the immune system. Okay, so that's four herbs. There was another herb, and I can't remember which one it is right offhand, though it'll come to me probably as soon as I'm done with this live. There is another herb that milk thistle was another herb that had shown to be somewhat effective with specifically with hepatitis. So, um, I mean, I don't know that I would go any more than that. You start getting more herbs, then you run the risk of diluting some of the compounds or adding too many compounds, right? Four or five herbs at most for a blend. But you want to be able to address the issues from several different ways. Like I
Yeah.
said, you got to address the virus, you got to address the autoimmune system, you have to address the liver itself. So there's three separate things you have to look at when considering this. And of course, I haven't talked to the guy either, so I don't know what his lifestyle is. So that's why I don't make any recommendations. That's like you that's like your landlord or the guy you work for asking you, Wyatt, how much you gonna charge me to rehab this house, but you don't get to see the house.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Right. That's why when people ask questions like that, it's very hard to answer. I don't know. I've never talked to the guy.
Right.
I don't know that guy from Adam. So, you know, and then people go, well, you don't know what you're talking about. I do know what I'm talking about, but every person is going to be different. I don't know. Again, I haven't talked to the guy. It's like trying to fix a house I've never seen. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know whether it should be used together. I don't know. That's the thing. And I've said this repeatedly over the years. If I've never actually talked to the person, I can't even come to remotely close to being able to give any suggestions. Not that I give suggestions anyway, but I don't know. I don't know enough about him. I don't know enough about the situation. I don't know anything about his environment, his work history. I don't know any of that stuff. And all of that stuff is wildly relevant when getting a um, it depends on the person. So, I don't know. It's hard to determine. Mistletoe is also a good immunomodulator. Apparently, it's good for cancer too. But, I don't know. It's hard to answer if I've never talked to him, Ninny. I just don't know. And it's not that I'm trying to be evasive, but like when I do an actual consultation, see that would actually require a consultation, and I don't do those for free. you know. So, because there's too many variables for me to just throw anything out there. It's not possible. So as much as I'd like to help, it just it's like calling a mechanic up. No, I do know one mechanic that can do this, but it's like calling a mechanic up and says it makes this ding 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 sound. You know what it is? I don't know. But my buddy in Oregon, I can actually kind of I mimic the sound. He can tell me usually exactly what's wrong with the car. But he's been a mechanic longer than you've been alive.
Yeah, probably.
So, oh, I know. And at some point we can do a consultation. This week is going to be kind of screwy because they decided we're going to work overtime this week and Saturday. I was going to leave Saturday open for consultations. Um, and in that stuff's terrible for you. Why would you drink that? Anyway, um, but I was going to start reserving Saturdays for consultations and do consultations on Saturday because it's not just like a 10-minute process. I mean, the initial interview takes at least an hour, and then you don't get any specific, it's a health and wellness consultation, but you don't get any specific answers right away because then I have to take all that data that I've been given, and then put together a health plan, a health and wellness plan. It's not anything you need to. It's not a recommendation. It's just specific um, lists of things that can be helpful. Um, and then they also do like specific blends for people. It's just a daily supplement. Doesn't do any. It's not a cure. It's not. It's just a supplement. And I have to do it that way in order um, to not doctor.
Yeah.
But and then, the way I do the supplement is, there's specific ingredients and the person can do whatever they want to with that information. They can go buy that stuff somewhere, they can whatever, because I mean, oftentimes I'm sure it'll be stuff that I don't even have on hand. So it's not like I'm doing it to make money, I'm just saying here's what the science says for the specific condition. And, but I can't make recommendations. That's illegal. So I don't do that. The one from Patreon is, yes. I had to go buy another phone now. My cat turned it into a frisbee, and apparently that $30 phone didn't like that. So, wow, dude, you can't even say excuse me right there
Excuse
alive.
me.
Now you've just saved that forever.
Yeah.
And yeah, patrons do have paid patrons anyway, do have access to that phone number, and we can do it a couple different ways. We can do it through like we have what Zoom. I don't do Skype, but they do Zoom. We can do Facebook Messenger. We can do uh, just a phone call. I don't care. You do if you're a patron. If you're a patron, you have access to that number. So, and to be fair, I mean, I only give that number to paid patrons. So, I mean, realistically, they're the ones that pay for that number. It only makes sense that they are the only ones that have the access to that, other than clients when they pay for a consultation. But that particular phone number, even though technically it's for my business, it's for paid patrons to use. And they don't get free consultations for that. I mean, some of you are due a free consultation, but not many of you. That's okay. I can do a telephone. It doesn't matter. You know, I make it easier. Like I leave different options because some people prefer a Zoom call. Some people would prefer to do a face-to-face so they can actually see my face when we're talking. Some people are okay with the phone. I'm okay with the phone. I just turn on the speaker, put it on my tripod, and go about doing what I got to do. You know, and make it easier for me. I don't have to look into the darn thing. You know, I can just talk to you and work on my computer because everything's on the computer. You know, so that way it's all everything is saved and that information's never sold. It's kept on a separate flash drive, so or a thumb drive. It's never actually on the internet. So nobody ever has access to that information. Oh, I'm sorry.
What kind of stuff would you ask or test for during consultation?
I don't test for anything, but it's actually quite detailed. We go through a little bit of everything. Go through, home environment, work environment, age, any medications you may currently be on, types of things you're currently doing for your health. It's
Yeah.
quite long. It's 2 pages. The questionnaire itself takes 2 pages,
Okay.
so it goes through as much stuff as I can think of,
Yeah.
and um, and then we kind of go from there. Yeah, I thought you were a patron. Okay, that'll work. And I mean, it's kind of sad. I don't think that being healthy should be expensive. However, the charge that I charge on Patreon is so minuscule, that if information like that isn't worth $3 to somebody, I don't know. You know, like from here on out, I'm going to be finishing up the top three herbs from each state. Maybe you can help me edit those. Those are voiceovers, by the way. I do those
Okay.
as voiceovers. Um, top three herbs from each state. I'm probably going to finish out on Patreon. So I'm not going to post it on Instagram or here on YouTube. And the reason why is when I posted them on other, I know, when we posted this on other, I wasn't saying you, I was taking anybody else who watches this after you're lit. Not you and I have a different conversation. Most people don't know. Nini and I have talked several times. Um, so what was I talking about?
I lost it too.
Oh, you're no help at all, dude. This is gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, they censored it. Like on TikTok, I did Ohio, and they banned it.
Yeah, the 50.
Community
Yeah,
guidelines violation.
herbs
And
from every state.
that's what I started, top three herbs from each state. And by the time I got to Ohio, so I kind of quit on that. I have the apothecary handbook to finish first, but the Oklahoma is next, and then I'm going to finish out that series on Patreon because they don't ban my content. So, and because people pay them. And it's not because I'm just trying to keep it secret. It's just, but the information should probably get out there, and the people who are can help because that the information from the top three from each state is actually going to be in the big book of herbs.
Oh, okay.
And so there's going to be 150 herbs instead of just 25.
Oh, okay.
Right. And it's going to be broke down like what I showed you.
Yeah.
All 150 of those broke down like that
Okay.
with how to's. And that's
Right.
going to be a big book.
Yeah.
That'll be a big book. That'll be probably about 700 or 800 pages.
That'll be fun.
Right. There's no way you're putting that in your pocket. But the apothecary handbook's coming along nicely. I was showing Wyatt some of the chapters today. So um, most of you guys have seen the chapters on that one that are patrons. And every now and then I do one for free. I'll throw a free chapter in there. So that way the public can see it so they get an idea of what it is. But I didn't want to do a lot of them like that because there's paid patrons that are paying for that.
Yeah.
And, you know. But if I ever get to a point, I'm pretty sure the cooking channel will do pretty well. Um, which is, for those of you who missed it, which is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be starting up a cooking channel here pretty soon. I don't know either. Well, because in that one I talked about Podophyllum peltatum, or mayapple, and that was the one that showed where the mayapple reversed the radiation damage. And as you know, in every one of those videos, I never talk about ingesting any of those herbs. I'm just talking about the science behind them. But they still said it violated their content policy. So that's why I quit doing that series for a while. You know, it really sucks to put hours and hours and hours into a freaking video to have them say it's violating some guideline or something when it's when I'm literally just reading from medical studies, right? And so that could be fr It's the same with this channel. They do this too. But then again, you got to look at who their advertisers are. I don't know. We haven't figured out a name yet. I kind of want to go something that has something about single and cooking in it, because that's kind of what it's going to be for, single people cooking for themselves. Um, Wyatt had some ideas too. So, but we haven't cemented it yet. And then here's what he had the audacity to go. He goes, "Well, after we're done with the live tonight, why don't you just cook something?" And I'm like, "Just cook something? What are you talking about?" He's, "Oh, we'll just record it. You just cook something." Dude, I don't know that I just want to cook something tonight. I don't have anything defrosted. Like all my meat's frozen. So, I had nothing worse than cooking with frozen meat. And I could make a cake. Those don't take too long. And I made some yellow cake with chocolate frosting last night. Yes, I just made that last night.
Yeah.
It was almost gone. But,
What kind of recipes would they like to know?
I mean, would you guys like to know how to make like homemade cakes and homemade cookies? And not everybody knows how to make it. I know some of you guys probably obviously know how to make it. But soups and stews, just the type of food that I make, what you can do with them after. Like one of the things we're gonna do is we're definitely gonna cook a whole chicken. I'm gonna show how I bake a whole chicken, and then what to do after the chicken's done. Because even if you're single, like what I do when I do that is I'll bake a whole chicken and then I debone it when I'm done eating whatever it is I'm gonna eat off of it, and then I freeze it. Or I'll turn it into fajita meat or whatever. I'll just freeze chopped chicken, and then if I choose to make soup or whatever, I have that meat frozen for later. So, but we don't know what the channel's going to be called yet. But we do know he Wyatt, I think, is going to be the cameraman at first because he has more experience at that than I do. All my stuff is my stuff. Um, but he has some specific recipes he wants to go through, so I get to pretend to be a cameraman for a while Wyatt does his recipes, and then yeah, but it's going to be simple cooking. I mean, just simple things, but really tasty meals. I mean, I think I eat pretty well. I make a lot of really good food. So I think this week I had beef stew. I had, well, pork stew, that as well. Basically, it's the same thing. I just switched out the meat. Um, then to fill it up, I think I had egg noodles. We could do recipes like make your own
Mm.
noodles.
Yeah.
Those are a pain in the ass, though. I don't know if anybody wants to watch that. Making your own noodles sucks. But I would do a video on how to do it. It's a pain in the butt, but I'd do it. Egg noodles are tasty. Homemade egg noodles are amazing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're really easy. I think it's just egg and flour. That's it.
Hmm.
Maybe some salt, and you roll it out, and you cut it up, and you roll it really thin. Now you can get a noodle maker, right? And you can just run it through, and it'll cut it all for you. Now it's all very perfect, but that's not by hand. So if you do it by hand, you roll it out really thin, and then you cut it into very thin strips, and then you hang it over racks and just let it dry. Once it's dry, it's done. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you cook them. I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes or something, and then they're just like egg noodles.
Like cook them in the oven
And
or
you boil them in
boil
water
them?
like you
Okay.
normally make egg noodles, or add them into a casserole or whatever you decide to cook.
Hmm.
But yeah, they're really simple to make, but they're a pain in the butt. Simple,
Yeah.
but tedious.
Yeah. Time consuming, but
Time consuming, but easy, Teresa says. She's right. It is time consuming, but it's super simple. Only like 3 ingredients. That's okay. I can switch up. And the good thing about all these recipes is, like, how would you like to make your own homemade pot pie?
yeah.
That's actually one of the things I want to make this week. Is I'm going to do a homemade pot pie, which means I'm going to hand make the crust, which isn't that hard. There's only like 3 or 4 ingredients in pie crust. Um, you make your beef base with your vegetables, right? And then you turn it into kind of a thicker gravy. Then you put your pie, you put your pie crust down in the pan, pour your gravy in, do your little blah 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 to put the top on because I can't have a pot pie without a topping.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
you bake that, and once it's done, you got a pot pie.
I think that like when we go through like each recipe, we can talk about various different diets that people are on. So
I don't
if
care about
we
their diets.
well,
I'm just kidding.
if we if it's like something with beef, we can, run down, maybe you can substitute it with chicken with certain things, or tofu if you needed.
Ooh, bite your tongue. That stuff's disgusting. Make homemade ravioli. Are you out of your mind? That sounds awful. That sounds like so much tedious work. Teresa says, make homemade ravioli. Do you really want to make homemade ravioli?
It'd be interesting. But it's
Would anybody
pastry.
even watch it?
They're just tiny pastries.
Kind of. Pastries are sweet by nature, though.
That's just all the sugar.
Tofu. See, she agrees with me. Tofu, gross. Stuff is awful.
Or like certain recipes that maybe don't need meat in it.
And here's the one thing that we're definitely gonna do. Here's one thing, at least with my recipes, I will adamantly say it on the channel too. There's absolutely zero chance I'm ever gonna do a vegetarian or a vegan recipe ever, ever, ever.
Even a salad.
Bacon.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Cheese. There goes the vegan. Eggs.
Yeah.
So yeah, even a salad. Yep, never. Nothing vegan or vegan. Nothing vegan or vegetarian ever.
Or even just how to prepare certain, if you want, steamed, broccoli.
Bacon. I'm just saying.
I mean,
And if I'm doing steamed broccoli, I'm eating it with meat. I'm not gonna just eat a bowl of steamed broccoli. That's gross. Ew, that's disgusting. I'm not eating that. Do you eat it?
Sometimes.
Well, then you can eat it. You can make it too. You can show everybody how to make asparagus because there's
I don't know how to make it. I just eat it sometimes.
I can make it.
Yeah.
But I won't eat it.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Nobody likes asparagus, right? That's gross. Not only that, it turns your urine like really gross color too.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like dye paint orange. It does. That's no joke.
Wait, it what?
It turns your urine a funny color.
I haven't noticed.
It does. I guarantee it. Anybody who eats it would and knows will say that it does. It will turn your make it smell funny too.
No, I knew that one.
Yeah. See, Teresa knew that. There's a lot like squash. You like squash?
That's one I can give or take.
Okay, so we're never gonna cook squash either, because there's no way I'm eating that stuff either. I'll eat pumpkin, but I won't eat squash. I know they're the same thing, but they're not.
Fine, like more realistically, like can talk about how to make a pizza at home.
Ooh, homemade pizza. Who wants to see homemade pizza, including the dough?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody want to see that? Homemade pizza? Tofu equals phytoestrogen. And it's extremely processed. It's more processed than box food. It's awful. Well, if we cook anything asparagus, it's going to be him cooking it.
Right.
And it means he's going to have to look up a YouTube video on how to cook asparagus. So we can do a YouTube video on how to cook asparagus. With his twist. Squash is gross. I can't do it. My mom, when I was little, want to hear a funny story? I still remember this to this day. I was like 5. And my mom made acorn squash, and how she made it, she filled it with butter, and she put brown sugar in it, and so it was very sweet. Took one bite, I was like, nope, I ain't doing it. And she's like, you're not leaving the table until you eat. 4.5 hours later, I was still sitting there, not a bite taken, because I wasn't eating that crap. Yeah. And she's like, well, then you'll eat it tomorrow. No, I didn't. I didn't eat it the next day either. It was disgusting. There was no way I was going to eat that stuff.
Yeah, we can just go over a bunch of different stuff that, can just make at home pretty easy,
Now, I do make a mean lobster, but I won't eat it. So how I'm going to do it, we're going to do lobster tail one night. You eat lobster?
I love lobster.
Okay, so we'll do lobster tail one night. I've been told by all the people who eat those water bugs that I make amazing lobster. So I'm going to make Wyatt an amazing lobster, but I'm not going to eat it because I don't eat bugs. That's gross. I can do zucchini bread, but I'm not doing like fried zucchini. I can do zucchini bread. That's pretty tasty.
Yeah.
But fried zucchini, like the fried zucchini slices,
Yeah.
that's gross.
And that's one thing that we can talk about too is how we can make, each thing, replace different things to make it healthier. Like making zucchini chocolate cake instead of regular chocolate cake.
Oh yeah, we could do some of the weird recipes like that.
Yeah, like
Weird
apple sauce and cupcakes or something like
applesauce
that.
cupcakes are
No,
amazing.
applesauce and brownies. That's what I heard.
Those are good too. Lobster is good. We'll do lobster. And lobster's actually, if you do it right, it's not too expensive because you can
Yeah.
just get the tail and a fresh tail, especially if it's a single person. They're not buying it for the whole family, right? So they can go buy a single lobster tail. You can typically get them at like a lot of butcher shops,
Yeah.
8 or 9 bucks for a lobster tail, for a good sized lobster tail
Yeah.
for a serving.
I know a couple months ago I made a couple lobster tails,
Did you
and
get them fresh or frozen?
uh, they were technically fresh, but they were like on the last day of expiration.
Good, even better. You get them
So,
cheaper that way.
and yeah, I mean it's not super
Eggplant,
complicated.
that's gross too. Do you like eggplant?
No.
Oh, good. We're not doing eggplant. Sorry. If we can find somebody who likes eggplant, I'll learn how. I know how to cook it. I know how to do like breaded eggplant, and I know how to cook it. I've done like the breaded fried, kind of like the fried green tomatoes. But I can't do it's the texture. I don't think I like eggplant parmesan. I know how to do that too. I
Well,
baked
I
it.
mean, and that would be very similar to chicken parmesan. So it almost we can just show how you would prepare eggplant for it.
Okay, and then we can give it to the dog. I know he'll eat it. Morpheus eats almost anything, so Morpheus will be more than happy to eat the eggplant because I'm not. How about you? You eating it?
Yeah.
You're gonna eat it?
No.
Oh,
I've eaten it before, but I don't want to eat it again.
Morpheus will get the eggplant. So you know, as you guys know, Morpheus gets a lot of the good food,
Um.
and he hears his name. That's why you hear him whining. We're gonna be cutting off live here pretty soon. We've been live for an hour.
What else would your audience probably want to know?
No, no, let's ask him. What else do you want to know before we go? Be quick. Time's a wasting.
You can go into more detail on the individual ingredients.
No, we've been live almost an hour. I'm not gonna.
No, but like maybe suggestions if that's something that they would like to see.
You guys obviously want to see the ingredients, right? Clearly, when we do the videos, you're gonna want to see the recipe on how to do it on top of the how-to walkthrough. It kind of makes sense. And it'll probably we're probably just gonna start on YouTube. It'll only be a YouTube channel to start. Fried cabbage, I can make it. I don't like it. I prefer sauerkraut. He doesn't like sauerkraut though.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a how to make your own sauerkraut, but I'm gonna be the only one that gets to eat it. How about beets? Do you like pickled beets?
Yeah. I mean,
I'll
all
teach
right.
you how to make them fermented, and you'll like them better than any other pickled beet you've ever eaten.
Yeah.
I have a friend who I gave him some of my pickled beets, and now he won't eat the store-bought stuff. But I haven't made him any new ones since, so he's really mad at me.
Oh.
Yeah. Just made balsamic Brussels. I don't like Brussels sprouts, though I do like cabbage.
We can talk about how to pickle different things and
Yeah, we should do some pickling stuff.
because each thing will need a different um probably recipe of different herbs and spices that you're gonna put with it
How about your own homemade hot sauce? It's really simple.
or hot honey. Make some hot
Ew, that's
honey.
disgusting. Why would you do that to your honey?
You don't like hot honey?
Why would you do that to your
It's
honey?
so good.
Oh, that's all awful. It sounds like a crime. Who would want spicy honey?
Mango habanero hot honey.
And honey? That's no.
Yeah. But yeah, make our own hot sauce. Different sauces. Make your own ranch mayo.
Ooh, how about homemade balsamic vinegar?
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Anybody want to see how to make homemade balsamic vinegar? We could do that.
Homemade hummus.
Hummus. Korean cucumber. Oh, that sounds fermented. If you say Korean, that sounds fermented cucumber.
Mm.
Fermented's better for you, almost like a pickle.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm.
Fermented's way better for you. That's why when you have my beets, they're still technically pickled, but they're fermented.
Mm.
But they smell and taste like better pickled beets.
Okay.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. See, don't mess with honey. You gotta leave the honey alone. Teresa said, "Don't mess with the honey. You gotta leave that honey alone." Most people overcook. Yeah, right. Ben said most people overcook asparagus. That's true, and it gets
Yeah.
all soggy, and then it's even worse. It's like okra. Then that's gross too. Ain't cooking okra. Ain't happening. How about okra? You want some okra?
No.
Okay, I'm okay with not eating that stuff ever.
Would you guys want to know more like seafood?
How about any seafood? Anybody want to like fish? I like fried clams.
Yeah. You know, crabs, lobster. You know, because people don't.
Hope you're
That's not.
buying all that.
Well, maybe not all at once.
Okay.
Um, fit different kind of fish steaks. Each fish will have a
How about
different
we go
kind
out
of.
and catch a walleye, and then we fillet it, and we do walleye steaks.
Yeah.
Do you like walleye?
Yeah.
I like walleye too. Do you guys like walleye? Anybody like walleye? Okra's gross.
Um,
Well, we have a reservoir here, and I happen to have a fishing license, and I don't think it's frozen over yet. I think if I pop out to the reservoir, the walleye are biting. I think I can go get a walleye, and then we could fillet a walleye. Though I won't show you how to fillet it, but we can show you how to bread it and cook it.
yeah. And would you guys want to see how it's filleted?
See what?
Would they want to see how it's filleted?
I don't know that YouTube would let us show how to fillet a fish. I don't know. Maybe they might. I don't know.
Consider it educational.
Ah, there we go. Well, I'm not in Minnesota. We're a
Um,
few hundred miles from there, so we have to settle with a Willard, Ohio walleye.
but different fish steaks cook differently, like walleye compared
I
to
like a good
salmon.
fish steak. Right, salmon's. I prefer salmon in a patty, like a salmon patty, if I'm going
Okay.
to eat it. But I have to have vinegar on it, right? I can't
I
just
don't think
eat.
I've ever had salmon as a patty.
Really, it's kind of like salmon meatloaf, essentially.
Yeah, I get what
And
you're saying, but yeah, I don't
yeah,
think I've ever had that. We could do something like that. We can get into some interesting meats like the stuff that you have.
she likes liver. Do you like liver?
I don't think I've really had it.
I'm not a fan. It smells disgusting when you cook it.
But I like the
However,
other suggestions. Oysters. Let's do some oysters. That'd be fun.
you're welcome to them. Never had walleye. Well, have you ever had bass? It's not quite the same as bass. It tastes like a good bass. It's not a real fishy fish. Yeah, I'm real big on fish. I'm very picky about it. Like I'll do cod because it's not real fishy. Um, absolutely hate tilapia. Uh, some of those off fish, I don't like the, I'd like I, you got to have enough onions with liver to kind of cover and if you have enough A1 sauce, it kind of masks the flavor. It,
What about
it's similar to a bass. A walleye
tuna?
is tuna. I've only ever really had it in a salad. I've never actually cooked it.
Mm,
And though I've seen tuna steaks, and I've seen that you can do things with tuna. I don't know. We could try something.
yeah. I
And
know, or we could even make our own like sushi and put sushi in
ugh,
it. No,
no, that's gross. Why would I eat it raw, man? I'm not a caveman.
whatever.
So I guess we're gonna do sushi, but he's gonna be the only one that eats it.
Oh, I'm gonna love it. But yeah, like learning how to make sushi at home, that'd be awesome.
Halibut. Oh, halibut's not
Yeah,
bad.
that's pretty good too.
Halibut. Walleye is up there with halibut. I think. I think walleye tastes just about as good as halibut. What do you think?
I like halibut.
Yeah, yeah. I could do halibut. Do some halibut steaks. I have cooked it, but it was 30 years ago. I haven't had lamb in a very long time.
I think we should do
Bass and crappie.
crawdads. Like
Ooh.
go down to the river and like catch a bunch of crawdads.
What part of I don't eat bugs do you not
Okay, you
understand?
don't have to eat it, but
Ugh.
like that'd be a fun thing to
Well, I know
people.
that most people know what a crawdad is, yeah. I guess.
Yeah,
You know how to eat them?
no,
You gotta eat them like a mini lobster. You gotta break them out of the shell. And
yeah,
then, of course, the tails.
yeah,
That's gross. You can have them, though. We'll cook them.
yeah. Like go. Can we? I mean, are we able to like go and catch them ourselves and eat them like that?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know of any creeks around here. I don't know if I have the patience to catch them, but I mean, I'm sure that, I don't know. You know this area better than I do.
Well, I feel like we could talk about that when it gets warmer out.
Okay. Would anybody want to see how to cook crawdads? Why it's that, if you think about it, it's a protein source.
And I mean, it's or like frog legs.
I'm not eating a frog, but you can have
No.
them. No, that's gross,
Okay,
man.
well we can talk about how to make them, and I'll eat them.
Okay, we fry them just like chicken,
Okay.
and then you eat the legs. Just the
Or
legs.
how to make like rabbit stew.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, that means we have to find somewhere to hunt a rabbit. Mud bugs, crawdads. Yeah.
um,
So it looks like we're cooking crawdads.
don't eat crawdads.
They're just like lobster, freshwater lobster. They're just a lot small. Some of them are pretty big, but not nearly as big as a lobster. Still a bug, no matter how you look at it. I don't like them. Not a fan at all. Flounder's good. I like flounder.
I don't think I've had it.
That's a flatfish. Tasty. I think we have some frogs here. We definitely have enough frogs around Ohio. Oh
Mm.
my God. Drive by some woods, man, and that's all you hear is the sound of frogs.
Or how to prepare venison, because there's a lot of farmers and
I
there's a
I will
lot
be
of
hunting next year, so if I can get a deer next year, I'm pretty sure I can. I know where to go.
different ways to prepare things, and what different uses of each part.
Make summer sausage.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that'd be a really cool trend that we could do, is like kind of break down the whole beast ourselves.
Looks like you're
And
doing frog legs, man.
all right,
There you go. That means we have to go find some frogs. It won't be that hard. Hope you're brave. I don't know. Alligator tail. Well, we're not that far south, but I bet we could find some meat market. Probably go to
yeah,
Cleveland or something. We could probably find some
I've had
alligator.
alligator before. It's like a gamier chicken.
Deer's good. I like venison. Moose is good. I like moose. I have some emu meat in the fridge freezer. I also have some ostrich meat.
Yeah,
And I have a duck
yeah,
right now in the freezer.
yeah. Like I think that's good to like have like the baseline. Easy to make meals, but like also get a little eccentric with different meats
Right.
and different
Does
stuff.
that sound different? Does that sound good? Do the quick and easy meals like the common stuff, but interspersed in those, add some of the more exotic stuff like the lobsters and things like that. We could even do because by that point we'd probably get a lot more subscribers. Um, we would be better able to use the money that we get from that to go up to like Cleveland or go down to Columbus to
Yeah,
Chinatown and get some of that rarer meat that you wouldn't necessarily be able to find. And maybe once a month do one of those kind of videos.
yeah, and I think that we could also do like different national foods, like
Oh, Indian cuisine, Japanese,
or what's
Vietnamese.
poutine.
I have no idea
Yeah,
what that is.
it's like the Canadian, um, like their main national food.
Oh,
It's like fries and cheese curds and
emu's good.
gravy.
Emu's good. Use emu like beef too, and use ostrich like beef. They're red meats. They're red meat just like beef. So I have to reorder that meat package, by the way, and I will do that, but I'll do it with my own money this time. And kind of ran on some financial rough times as far as my food budget went, so I had to use that meat to supplement my diet. Otherwise, I was going to go hungry or have to survive on beans and rice, and I'm not ready for that yet. I don't mind beans and rice, but I don't want to live on it for a while.
Yeah,
So once my food runs out, then I'll do that. But I have a feeling that our cooking channel will probably do pretty good, especially if we can stay consistent. And I think maybe the beef is due to the fact that it depends on which beef you get. Ben. Bear meat tastes awful, and I don't like any predator meat. I don't like mountain lion either. Though I don't think that the guy that had it was supposed to. But I was like 9 years old. What do I know? But I didn't. Yeah, it's stringy. When you eat predator meat, it's stringy. Um, very gamey tasting. Like when I don't know. It tastes like an animal smells, right? Like a wild
mm,
animal smells. And I don't like predator meat at all. And it's got a and I think the grease would depend on when it was shot. If it's shot like during the winter, um, when it's already fed for the summer and it's all fat, that would be a lot of grease. But if you hit it like towards the end of summer or something like that, they're pretty lean And at least the one that we had was almost like eating like a jerky stew. It was kind of
Oh yeah.
stringy and yeah, it was rough. I wasn't a huge fan. I like moose though. Elk is amazing. I love elk meat,
Yeah.
but I almost shot an elk when I was 15. But well, it, we were with my dad. I was with my dad, and we were with a group of guys. There was like six of us, and we'd gone out in the middle of freaking nowhere in Oregon. And it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't even know what time it was. I'm guessing it was really early in the morning before everybody else got up, and I had to get up and go to the bathroom. So I got up and I walked outside the tent, and I went around this corner, and there was just enough moonlight that I saw this big group of animals not too far away, maybe 50 yards away. They were elk. I'd never seen an elk live, and I didn't realize that they were the size of a freaking cow, right?
Yeah.
So I saw these elk, and there was probably 20 of them standing there. We were there elk hunting. We were there specifically to get an elk. I didn't say a word. I did what I had to do, went back into my tent, and went to bed. And by the time I got up in the morning, they were gone, and the guys were like, "Huh, see all this elk track around here?" I'm like, "Oh wow, there were elk here last night." I didn't want to shoot it because they said we had to pack it out. If you shoot it, you pack it out.
Yeah.
Well, an elk weighs 800 pounds. How are you going to pack that out? They're the size of a small cow.
Right.
So I saw the elk. I had the opportunity. I could have, all we had to wait was for the sun to come up, and I could have had an elk. But I saw how big it was, and I'm like, no, because, I was only like 15, and my dad told me that if I shot one, I was quartering it, and I was having to pack it out. And I was like, no, I'm good. So none of us got an elk on that trip. And I
Oh.
never said a word. I never told my dad either, ever. I never told him what I saw. We're doing okay. Who feel guy? Who's this guy? This is Wyatt. Him and I are going to be. He's a friend of my son's, but he's a friend of mine. But we're going to be starting. That was part of the news. We're going to be starting a new video channel. So it's not going to have anything to do with herbal medicine. Nothing. Right. Well, I mean, it was. I'm not going to tell. Well, it was almost 40 years ago. um. So I mean. They would have hauled it out, but at 15, I was threatened I was gonna have to be the one to pack it out, and I wasn't much smaller than I am now. I didn't grow much after 15, and after seeing how big one of those animals was, I was like, "There's no way I'm not gonna shoot one of those." But it's amazing, in retrospect, knowing that my dad wouldn't have done that, and we all would have packed it out. Um, I probably should have went and woke everybody up, and all of us probably would have gotten an elk. But I saw how, and of course, it was me, my dad, and my two brothers. So I don't know what we would have done with four elk. We didn't have a big enough freezer to hold four elk. That's like holding four cows of meat.
Yeah.
So he's not my son. He's a friend of my son. Him and I are going to be starting a new video channel, and
Yeah, that'd be interesting to go hunting and then make that part of the cooking channel is just
cook the heart.
yeah go through everything show how to not waste anything you know
You look like Jesus. Did you know that?
I've been told that a couple of
Yeah.
times.
Well, technically, though, if you look at it from a historical perspective, Jesus wouldn't look anything like you.
Yeah.
You don't have the right skin tone. You're not from the right area.
Yeah.
So, it to think that Jesus was a white guy is is a little off.
Yeah, he'd be the only white guy in 300
Have a good night,
miles.
Teresa. Well, hopefully you'll come and watch. But he cusses like a sailor, so I mean, there's that. He'd probably throw you off if you went in there going. He's not going to give you the message you thought you were going to get. Well, we've been live for an hour and 14 minutes, and so next week, give me a topic for next week. Why it's going to come up with our topic, my topic for next week. What am I going to talk about?
um, the
Don't
kinds of herbs to use to lessen a
So
fever.
double the recipe.
To lessen a fever.
Do an hour on how to lessen the fever. Seems like a lot.
Or a common cold.
I don't know. Maybe I did cold last time. Maybe we could talk about viruses.
Or flu.
We could talk about viruses next week. Anybody want to talk about viruses next week? Actually, some of the meals that I'll be cooking are a little bit bigger meals, but the reason is there any problem with Jesus? No, he was clearly a historical figure. He's been verified in multiple different cultures. It's very obvious he existed. According to history, the Romans, the Egyptians, the obviously the Hebrews, the Jewish people. Um, yeah, I don't have any problem with him at all. Yeah, it is what you said earlier. You can double the recipe, but some of the meals will be a little bit bigger, so that way I can show some of those poor single people that they can save their meals for
Yeah.
later.
Well,
And
and after we do a couple, single people recipes, we're going to get into more interesting things, and it calls for a bigger,
right,
the smallest way to make the recipe is a big portion. When you're doing like stews and
it
stuff like
is,
that.
and then you
Yeah.
can save them for later. They're always good for later. You can have them for lunch next day. The bird flu. I don't even know if we should even talk about it. The is it really a flu? I guess kind of. It's technically part of the influenza family. You know. Um, I don't know that I buy the whole crossing over to humans thing. Anymore. Yeah, can you really believe what the CDC says? I don't. I don't typically believe anything they say at this point. How can you after what happened? What 3 4 years ago? A little hard to believe anything they say at this point when you've lost your credibility. So is it a flu? I don't know. Maybe it's just a different kind of flu. I don't know. I don't have any answers for it. But next week, how about we do that? We'll just talk about viruses, different herbs that can help with viruses. And then at the end of next week, I'll do a blend of some sort. I didn't really throw anything together tonight, so it was kind of haphazard, other than we threw out what we're going to be working on and cook it up for leftovers, yeah.
Yeah, we
But
can talk
yeah,
about
so
like meal prepping and stuff like that.
yeah, meal prep, all that stuff. Buying food, like if you buy meat in bulk, it usually tends you can break it up and like I was showing Wyatt some of the things that I do. Like I bought a box of meat and then I took it and split it up. Like with I ended up getting like 3 pounds of pork steak. So I took the pork steaks and I flash froze them in the freezer individually and then I put them in a bag, individual flash frozen, and then I can just take one out when I need it, right? Rather than having a whole clump of them frozen together, it's a pain in the butt trying to get them all apart. So when I'm making meals like that, same with my chicken. The chicken that I get is I'll put it in the freezer, but I put it like on parchment paper on layers. Once it freezes up, then I pop it out. I'll pop it in a bag, and then when I need chicken, I just pull it out of the bag instead of trying to break out part whole bunch. I'm sure I'll discuss all of those, Ben.
One of
You
my
you already know what most of my antiviral herbs are. We'll be talking about pine. I'm not so sure about sweet gum, but I might throw that one in there. And then of course star anise.
mm,
But we'll be talking about some other ones too. Obviously, we're gonna throw milk thistle in there, olive leaf. There's tons of antiviral herbs. I mean, if you watch my spike protein antiviral video that I just did, I think I mentioned six, and you got a free blend in that one. So there's that too. But that's what we're gonna do with our cooking channels. It's kind of gonna be a cooking for smaller portions. Most of the cooking channels you see, they're cooking big stuff. So we're gonna do smaller things to make it more bite-sized for people that don't necessarily have all that.
or things that are really good for leftovers, because some things you have to just eat then, and then other things you can kind
Right,
of save
right.
for like a week or so. So
Like if you make a homemade pot pie, that's good for 3 days,
yeah,
right? And it's not gonna go bad, and you can just cut a slice as you go.
yeah. Or
And it's
like
a full-size pie. It's
one of
amazing.
my favorites is like mac and cheese and pulled pork. You know,
Yeah,
like I just have two of those things and just slap them on top of each other and you know heat it up.
right. So that's what we have coming up with us next week. We're talking about viruses. It's going to be tedious. But next week we're going to be talking about viruses. I'll put something together for viruses and we'll have It'll probably be just be, I don't know. I'll come up with a special blend. It's not going to be the same one you guys just saw on the other day. So I will talk at everybody later. Maybe I'll have something I'll put together. It'll be available in the store. We'll see. You guys have a great night.